welcome back to True Grit and Grace. I'm Amberly Lago, and I have a friend of mine on the show today who is a freaking badass. Amy Dresner is here with us. She's a journalist, best-selling author. Your bio says former comedian, but you are so hilarious. You're a comedian as well as a recovering addict and alcoholic. She's been a regular columnist for the addiction recovery magazine, thefix.com, since 2012, as well as contributed to addiction.com, Psychology Today, Vice, and the list really goes on and on. And you have an amazing book. I actually have been listening to it on Audible. It's called My Fair Junkie, a memoir of getting dirty and staying clean. She's had rave reviews. She just her sales skyrocketed again through this pandemic. And she's even been featured in Elle magazine about her book. And Amy has appeared on the Doctor's TV and on radio shows and on some of my favorite podcasts, including Dr. Drew, and one of my favorites, Rich Roll. I have a crazy story about that too. Maybe we'll take that off air. But anyway, she does regular speaking engagements around the US, and she has her own podcast called, where she co-hosts, Rehab Confidential Podcast. And her book, I am so excited about, is currently in development for a TV series. So I feel so honored to have you here, Amy. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I am just a huge fan of yours. And I think, I don't even remember how we met, but we met online. And then we have a mutual friend, Doug,
Correct.
who was actually a guest on the show.
Correct.
And then we recently talked on Clubhouse.
Right.
But I have read your articles. I chose your Audible book because I love your voice and the way
Everyone
you.
likes the Audible book. Everyone loves the Audible for some reason. They're just like, it's you, and it feels like you're my friend, and like, yeah, they love the Audible, and they can hear my terrible accents and whatever.
But you know what? I mean, I felt you had me from the very beginning,
Awesome.
right? When you open up with the tale of
Ooh,
one of the hardest days of your life, probably. And I
yeah.
don't want to tell your story, you tell it best, but could you please give just the listeners a little bit? Because this whole story or podcast is really about turning tragedy into triumphs and how you can turn some of the darkest days into your pain into purpose. And you really have a story of resilience. And we were talking before we started recording, and I was like, oh wait, we got to save some of this, because we were like talking, I'm like, we got to push record. But you truly have one of the most incredible overcoming stories I've ever heard. And I was like, Amy, you're such a miracle, you're such an inspiration. So really, truly, I really admire you, and thank you for being here. So if you could tell us a little bit about the day that with your ex that
uh,
changed the rest of your life.
yeah.
Well,
So
propelled you.
I had been struggling. I'd struggled with depression and sort of substance abuse for years. I'd been already in probably 5 rehabs. I would get periods of sobriety and relapse, and periods of sobriety and relapse, and I, had a big problem with crystal meth and alcohol and all this kind of stuff. And I also had tried to kill myself a bunch of times. It just really was just didn't know how to function in life at all. It just wasn't really getting it. Just like felt really ill-equipped.
But can we say you grew up in a pretty nice home in
Yeah,
Beverly
no,
Hills,
I
right?
absolutely did. Yeah, I mean, I
And the
grew up
reason
in
I
Beverly
bring that
Hills.
up,
Yeah, I grew up
because
in Beverly
adversity
Hills.
doesn't discriminate.
No, that's the whole thing. Everyone was like, so I grew up, my father was a screenwriter, my mother was like a model turned fashion designer and all that kind of stuff. They divorced when I was 2, but the genetics, I had the genetics of alcoholism and mental illness, and I got it. I can remember feeling weird at 9. You know what I mean? I can remember that starting to have an eating disorder around 15 and starting to have really like gnarly depression days around then. And by 19, I had my first nervous breakdown. And
Wow.
for me, drugs and alcohol were a way to kind of like, they kept me on the planet sometimes when I just didn't want to even be here at all. And so it was a way to sort of turn down the volume on my feelings, which were just too big.
Well,
you
I
know.
remember in one of your interviews that I listened to, and I'm not sure, I don't remember which one it was, but you said that when you discovered drugs, it was like, oh, you finally found it. Like this was it. The Prozac with wings is
Totally.
how you described
Totally.
it.
Yeah. It felt like I was like, this is what I need. This is what, why aren't the psychiatrists giving me this? This is, I feel normal for the first time in my life. This is what other people feel like.
And that's what I felt like when I started drinking to deal
Right.
with the emotions and the pain that was too big. And I remember that was the exact,
Right.
almost exact feeling was I remember the drink. I thought, why didn't the doctors just tell me to do
Right. Right.
this?
Right.
Here's my solution.
Right. You're
Yeah.
like, this is what I need. You're just like, oh, I can breathe and I can be in my skin. I can be on the planet. I can deal. Like, it's just not. So yeah, it gets, but of course that gets really out of control really quickly. It progressed. It's like, shooting cocaine. And I mean, it got really, really gnarly. Um, uh,
How old were you when you started doing drugs?
24.
24.
So
And
I
you
was kind of a
moved
late
to the
bloomer.
Bay Area, right?
Yeah,
To
I moved to the Bay Area and I was just like, I'd been kind of a good girl. I'd been sort of like a goody two shoes, gone to an all girls private uniform school, was really sort of like, I'm pure and I'm a virgin and blah, blah, and sort of then I showed up in college and people were like, ew. I thought it was cool. I was like, I'm so pure. And that's sort of like alcoholism though, in general, I think is like we're such extremists. You know what I mean? We're either like smoking meth or we're like doing CrossFit and vegan. We can't seem to find that middle ground. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was a sex addict and now I haven't had sex for like 4 years. So it's like, I'm like, where's the moderation? Like, is my vagina just going to hermetically seal and like fall off at this point? Like, do I even need it? Like, what's going on? Like, I can't find that middle ground. So I mean, I had to quit vaping because I was like giving myself nicotine poisoning. I mean, I'm just really bad at like any kind of at moderation. It's
Well,
just
I read your article on giving up vaping, and I
oh
was
god, which
like,
one? Because I did it quite a few times. I did it during the pandemic. Finally, I
yeah,
picked it up when my
I
dad
think
got
it
cancer.
was I think it was recently and
Oof.
how you gave up the vaping and I was like, wow, it's powerful because so many people that I know are like closet vapors.
Yeah, the vaping was harder than cigarettes. I mean, I loved it, and I still miss it. I go, I still. It's like, but I
Was
like
that
anything that changes.
harder?
I like anything that changes my feelings.
Mhm. So what
Instagram
okay,
likes, a boy, fucking anything that changes my feelings. I'm all about it. A new shirt, yay. You know what I mean? Like fucking
I think that's
um
very human to admit that because a lot of people don't want to admit that, but that is how we are as humans.
yeah.
That's where we get dopamine. Even actually, Doug and I were talking about yesterday about Clubhouse, and Clubhouse is a new kind of
Yeah.
addiction. It's not just an addiction like a dopamine hit that you connect with people and you're heard and you're on this virtual stage, but it's also like this major FOMO of, oh, I don't want to miss out. They're
I'm
pinging
not
me into
really
the
digging
room.
it. It hasn't gotten its claws in me, man.
Well, don't let it.
I
I
haven't
had to
really,
turn my
I mean,
notifications off.
it hasn't really caught. I'm just kind of like, Um,
But I want to take your story back to you just about so people get an understanding of just the drastic change in you from going to private school wearing a uniform because my
right.
daughters both are in
To yeah,
private
becoming a
school
crystal meth addict in San Francisco, living in Lower Haight when
like
before it was
that.
gentrified. Yeah, I mean, it was just I was like, yay, I'm gonna explore. Like this is exciting. I was 24. I was like, I'm gonna say yes to everything and like, yay. And then I just like the second time I did crystal meth, it was over, and it was just like it just a vacuum opened up, and I was like, this is what I need. And it it went down quick. It went downhill very very quickly. And
I
within
heard
7
it's
months,
very addictive.
it's extraordinarily addictive if you like it. If you like uppers, it's like So I mean, I don't even know what the stuff's like now. This was 25 years ago, But for me, and then I found out that my mother had been addicted to amphetamines when she was a model. And I found out that my uncle had been addicted to amphetamines. And I was like, well, no wonder. I was like genetically set up for this stuff, you know?
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, within 7 months, I had a huge infection. My whole face had blown up, and my parents just grabbed me and dragged me back to LA. And I'm thinking that, you know, in LA, I'd be sober. But of course, that's not the way it works, you know? So
Yeah.
you drop us anywhere and we'll find drugs. We'll find what we're looking for. We have a radar, like we were talking about. Like, you know, whether it's unavailable men or drugs or whatever it is, like you put me in a room in a city, I'm like, dude, now
There
I
it
have a
is.
radar for sober people. It's
I
really
do
weird,
too.
right? It's so weird, isn't it?
Yes. You speak the same language. In fact, the podcast episode that was just released this last week, I had a spiritual, like he's a spiritual leader, and he had gone for 2 years on a spiritual quest and studied from monks and shamans and learned all these different
Cool.
spiritual practices. And he didn't know I was sober. I had not ever, I mean,
Right,
I newly met him through Clubhouse actually,
right.
but he didn't know I was sober. And I guess we were talking in the interview, and he said, you know, Amberly, something that you said reminds me of the principles of Alcoholics Anonymous, and
Oh my
that's why it works so well. And I was just like,
God.
you know, so afterwards I was like, oh, are you a friend of Bill's? And he's like, who? And he's not sober. He's just studied.
Wow, interesting. Well, I mean, the 12 steps are based on all like the spiritual, all the different religions and all the different psychologies and stuff like that. It's not, he didn't, you know, make any of that up. It's all pulled from different, you know, religions and stuff.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
he had just studied it and thought it was so wonderful. And I was like,
interesting.
yeah, but
Yeah.
you can start to, and that's why we were talking before we started recording about your picker. And I said, you've got a good picker. It's just getting your picker on the
Yeah.
right
You're like, it's
setting.
accurate. It's just aimed at the wrong person.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting that you went from being able to be like, ooh, that person, I know I can score something from them.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Incredible. Yeah.
yeah.
So I was like, went
And
to the chiropractor and it was just like, I just fucking felt it. He was like, do you do breath work? And I was like, are you sober? And he was like, yeah. I was like, well, either, you know, I mean, that's kind of an obvious one because only like people who are sober or like Burning Man people do breath work. Like there's not really anyone else that does breath work. But so I got married because I didn't know how to take care of myself. I was 39 years old. I was tired of being like a fuck toy of people, of guys in the program. I don't know what to say. Really hadn't had many relationships, and I was sort of promiscuous, and I was looking for love in all the wrong places. And you know, someone came along, loved me, and I was like, perfect. And he was going to take care of me, and I was like, great. Um, and it was a horrible marriage. And uh, in the marriage, I relapsed and I tried to kill myself a couple of times. And I also got something called frozen shoulder, and they gave me Oxycontin.
mm,
And so, of course, you know, being a drug addict, it was over. You know, as soon as that stuff hit me and that veil went up between me and the world, I was just like, oh, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what you think. I don't care what he thinks. I don't care what I think. Like, I don't care. We're just numb. And
there is a veil that goes up between you and the
right. And you
world,
feel safe. You
between
feel safe in
you,
the world, right?
and it's all an
Of
illusion.
course it is.
You're alone, and it's a
Right.
veil that goes between you and your higher power. It's
Yeah, it's
like you're
gnarly.
completely cut
Right.
off from everything, and you're in this lonely, small
Right.
little
In the
world. Yeah.
beginning, it feels like a relief, and then it becomes like a prison.
Hmm.
So on Christmas of 2011, we got in a fight, and it became physical. And I was drunk and high, and I just grabbed a knife and I threatened him, and he called the cops on me, and I got arrested for felony domestic violence with a deadly weapon, and I went to jail.
But can I just say, like, this is a crazy,
So if you have any
crazy
single, if you
topic.
have any single friends,
I've got somebody I'm thinking of right now. No, but no, but in your book, the part where you describe it so vividly about everything from the moment that you
oh,
realize, oh crap, I'm going to jail, like the things that you were doing, and then the thought process that you have when you know you have screwed up and you are either drunk or high, and I never did drugs. I was more, alcohol was my
Right.
solution. But the thought process that you had is still so similar when I had done
Of
things that
course.
I knew I screwed up, but better get a last drink before it
Yeah,
gets
right.
bad.
I was like, oh, the cops are coming. I better be really fucking high and relaxed before, it was like, yeah. So,
And
uh,
I'm laughing at how you described it in your book though, because you were like talking yourself through it, like, I don't, this is gnarly and I don't feel relaxed, and like
oh, I was
talk.
such an asshole. I was really an asshole. I mean, I was just, drugs and alcohol never, like, what it felt like and what it looked like are never the same thing. So, like, I felt really like I'm having fun and I'm relaxed and blah, blah. But like everyone else is like, you're a fucking nightmare, Amy. And it's like, I'm violent and I'm sexual and I'm a dick. And it's like, but inside I'm like, I'm having fun. And everyone's like, oh my God. And even with the cops, they were like reading me my rights. And I was like, I save your breath. Like, like Law and Order is my favorite show. Like, I mean, just such an asshole, it's like, so, oh God. And then me trying to talk my way out of it in the car, just being like, oh, your eyes really go well with your uniform. And like, just
Yeah,
like,
Amy, I don't know if you realize this, but I'm married to a cop.
oh my God.
So can
Well,
you imagine
yeah, no.
hiding it?
Well,
Like I
now I'm
was trying to
terrified.
hide it.
I'm terrified of cops now.
Are you?
Yeah,
Oh
still.
God, there's so many cops in our family, and me being married
After
to
being
one.
arrested by sheriffs, I've never, yeah, 4 sheriffs, 4.
That's how much. That's how powerful you are, girl.
I
It took
know.
4 men.
All 115 pounds of me. They came and they were like, oh, we've come her for her before. She's not going to psych ward this time. She's going to jail. And I was like, oh, fuck, man. So
Oh,
I got out and I lost everything. I mean, he left me penniless in a psych ward and he was just like, I can't do
how
this
long were you in the
anymore.
psych ward?
Which time?
Yeah, when this time? Well, this time you went to jail.
I went to jail. I was out within 5 hours. My
You
mom
were
was in
out within
town.
5 hours.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Even load. I was in a blackout in jail. I'd taken so many drugs. I was in a blackout. But I had an old sponsee who'd become a bail bondswoman, and I was like, fucking yeah. So I
Well, I
fucking
remember there
I
was a
called
part in
her.
your book that there was like this, you realized you looked at the payphone and you were like, who are my true friends?
So
Like, who do I
totally
call?
true. Yeah. When you're in a cell and you have a payphone and you're like, okay, like you get like 2 or 3 phone calls and you're like, okay, like who are my real friends that are gonna fucking show up and bail me out? You know what I mean? Like I'm about to find out. But I remembered I had a bail bondswoman. One of my ex-sponsees had become a bail bondswoman, and I was like, I'm gonna call her, So fucking, and she was like, oh my God, Amy, like my old sponsor. So good to hear from you. Merry Christmas. And I was like, hi, like I'm in jail. She was like, oh. So she got me out. But just it was the beginning of just a rapid unraveling of drinking and suicide attempts and trying to get sober and rehabs and sober livings, and it was just horrible. And I finally ended up in a sober living, and I was given 240 hours of community labor and a year of domestic violence counseling. And it's really kind of the community labor that sort of changed my life. It was like this Jewish American princess and very entitled and, really hadn't supported myself and had a trust, had a trust fund and then had a husband taking care of me. And then all of a sudden I'm dropped. I mean, I think that you meet your destiny on the road you go to avoid it. So it's like, I was like, I don't want to take care of myself. And the universe was like, oh, you don't want to take care of yourself? Okay, here you go. Here you are with nothing, honey, in your 40s with nothing. No net, everyone's over your shit. You got no money, knock yourself out. You got a criminal record, go. And I was like,
Mm.
oh, fuck. And I remember the first day showing up on the chain gang, and I was like, first I was just like, I don't belong here. Like, these are criminals. Like, fuck this. And, and I was terrified. So whenever I'm terrified, I put up this bravado of like, which is still something I do. And it was like me and 40 like Hispanic guys. And I was like, I was just like, oh fuck, you know. And I was like, hi. And no one's like, you know, no, I mean, just like they all had their hoodies and they were just like, whatever, you know. And then someone came up to me and they're like, what you here for? What you here for, Weta? I'm here for DUI. What you here for? And I was like, oh, I'm here for felony domestic violence with a deadly weapon. They were like, oh shit, you know. So then I was like, they were like, oh, she's the crazy white bitch who tried to stab her fucking husband. Like nobody fucked with me, but I was like the only girl. So
Wow.
quickly
They're like, you
became
don't
one.
want to mess with that
Yeah,
one
they were
over
like, she's
there.
bananas. She tried to kill. Everyone else was there for like a DUI. She was
Yeah.
like, yeah. So I was just swept the streets and like painted over graffiti, and it was like me and like a bunch of guys, and we would eat churros and fucking like, you know, it was just like, it was, I realized I was like, oh, I'm the criminal. Like the whole thing flipped. And for me, it was, you know, after a couple of days of feeling sorry for myself and being like, my ex sucks and my lawyer sucked and this isn't fair and, you know, blah, blah. And I mean, literally, we were sweeping like human feces and like cigarette butts and like, you know, in the hot sun for like 8 hours. I mean, it was really gnarly. And no one would talk to us. Everyone knew we were criminals. So people would just like pass by us and wouldn't talk to us, except for like people who thought we were doing like environmental stuff. They were like, I love what you're doing. This environmental work. It's so great. Like, how do I become part of this?
You're
I
like,
was
you
like,
don't
just
want to
try
know.
yeah, you just try and stab someone. It's really easy. And I had this epiphany where I was just like, you know, Amy, this could be the best thing that ever happened to you, or it could be the worst thing that ever happened to you, you know, and it's your decision. Like, you're 42 fucking years old. This is what's happened. You've been a fuck up your whole life. You know what I mean? Like, here, we're at a crossroads. Could this possibly be the worst thing that ever, the best thing that ever happened to you, dressed up as your fucking nightmare? And I was like, okay. And I had to finish or I was going to go to jail. So I was like, okay, are there lessons here? Let's embrace this. We have to finish. We have to make this doable. We have to make this fun. You know what I mean? Or productive or something. And I was like, yeah, I can learn teamwork. I can learn a work ethic. I can finish what I start. I can, you know, learn how to sweep really well. I can just get humble. I mean, I was like, there are a lot of lessons here, Amy. Why don't you just embrace that shit?
Wow. And you know, you embracing that through that hard time, it made you better instead of bitter, because you're right. Going through a crappy situation, it does one of, you know, either one of the
Exactly.
things. It makes you bitter or it makes
Yep.
you better. And you
All
were
your
like,
attitude.
yeah, it's all not even really your circumstances, but how to you show, you know, how to choose to look at them.
Exactly. How
And
you
you were
frame it in
like,
your head. Yeah.
yeah, how you frame it. And that's another reason that I love how you have really, you're getting your voice out there and changing the stigma around addiction
Thank you.
and and reframing that for a lot of people. And when I say you're a miracle, I mean, you know, my baby brother got on drugs and alcohol
Mm.
and was doing meth and was he's on death row now.
Oh
So
God, I'm sorry.
so it's just so crazy. So when I heard your story, I was like, we need more people like you. And you say something, you say, shine the light on shame. Because I
Yeah,
think
I'm like,
that's a
fuck
reason.
shame. I'm said, fuck yeah, fuck shame. Like I became a sex addict in this early sobriety. I have 8 years now. I have epilepsy from crystal meth. Like I didn't come out unscathed. Like I have my teeth, but I fried my brain. But it's LA, so who cares, right?
I know. You're like,
uh,
yeah, but your teeth look good.
right? I know, right? It's like, who cares if I have to wear a helmet for the rest of my life? Fuck it. Um, uh, I just really, you know, after the whole thing happened, you know, I started writing and babysitting, and I was just starting over from scratch. And I just decided I wanted to talk about all the things that no one talks about. I wanted to talk about being a perpetrator of domestic violence. I wanted to talk about being a female sex addict. I wanted to talk about being a female drug addict that comes from upper middle class and money and blah, that shouldn't happen to me and blah, blah, you know, and being an IV drug addict and being mentally ill. And I was like, and I want to talk about it, and I want to fucking just wipe the shame, you know, because shame never helped me. we talked about dopamine. Shame lowers your dopamine. Okay. So when you feel ashamed, you shame yourself or someone else shames you, you actually lower your own dopamine tone, which sets you up to relapse or act out in some way. Candy, attention, clubhouse, buying something, fucking somebody. You know what I mean? One of the reasons a 12-step works is because when, or any kind of, or church or anything, a knitting club, it doesn't fucking matter. When you connect with other people, your dopamine rises. And especially when you connect with other people like yourselves, when you don't feel within, you don't feel less than, your dopamine rises. And when you help other people, dopamine rises. You know what I mean? So
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And for so
there's so much
long,
there's so much chemistry to all of this. And like, I also just found out too about a genetic mutation called the MTHFR mutation, which I got
I
tested
have heard of
for.
that.
Okay, so there is a genetic mutation that many addicts have called MTHFR mutation, which people call the motherfucker
I
mutation.
just had a friend of mine
Okay.
who actually heard me talk, or actually she didn't know I was sober, and she saw, because I don't talk about it all the
Right.
time on
Right.
Instagram or anything like that, but occasionally I do mention it. And she didn't know I was sober, and she reached out to me because she was struggling. And she's the one who told me about that gene. I had never heard of it.
Yeah.
And
So
she got tested positive for it.
yeah,
And
so did I. So I'm tested. So basically, what it means is you have a genetic mutation in making the enzyme that breaks down sort of folic acid from green vegetables into L-methylfolate, which is the building block for dopamine and serotonin. So I don't know about you, but I always felt like I didn't have enough dopamine. I just always, from a very young age, I just felt like depleted. Like I wasn't where other people, I wasn't starting where other people were starting. That's low dopamine tone.
well, you
So
know what? That's interesting. I want to get checked for that, because even from a very young age, I had to do things to get my levels up. For
right,
me, that meant running and dancing. And then I felt normal or good.
interesting.
And so it was when everything fell apart is when I was stuck in the hospital bed, and I couldn't do either of
Right.
those things.
Oh,
And it was like, oh, but yeah, it's interesting that I didn't realize that.
yeah. So I take a supplement called an L-methylfolate supplement, and it helps, but there's not one cure all.
Uh-huh.
It's, for me, it is, it's all of it. It's trauma work, and it's exercise, and it's meditation, and it's like connection, and it's like, it's doing all of these different pieces that you do. And everyone's thing is unique. But, I've been sober ever since I had to sweep the streets. And I mean, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, which is so ironic because when it happened, I was like, oh my God, fucking kill me. I got dropped to a misdemeanor. The charge has been dismissed. I think they're still on my record. I should get my, think,
I
I should
think
get it.
after 7 years, isn't it
They should
after
get it
7 years?
expunged. I'd like to go to Canada sometime. I don't know that they want me, but I guess the what I really, everything I judged, I became, number one. Number two, everything I
Isn't
thought
that
that was
interesting?
right, for real. I mean, I had been since uppity, like drugs are bad. Cut to, my friends are just like whatever, Amy. Cut to, like, I'm shooting up in my neck. You know what I mean? Like, and I also found that everything that I thought would never happen to someone like me happened to me.
Mhm.
Psych wards, jail, you know what I mean? All of it. And it was like, for me, it created an enormous compassion for other people, and just like, don't you dare judge anyone else. You could be there under the right or wrong circumstances. You could absolutely be that person on the street talking to themselves. You don't fucking know. Do you know what I mean? You could be that person who, it's like, I just, genetics and environment, they create so much. We have so less sort of, I think, power over things than we think. I think so much of this stuff is like automatic, and so,
And it's a slippery slope, because it took me down so fast.
oh God, yeah.
But I knew, I mean, my brother was already in jail. I was like, I'm either going to die
Yeah.
or I'm going to be in jail or I'm going to be on the street. I'm
Yeah.
going to, I mean, this is not good. I want more out of life than this.
Yeah.
And this is what I thought. I remember thinking, how did a good girl like me end up like this? How did this happen? I was never a partier. I was always the one who was
I know.
not going to be the addict in the
I
family. I was not
know.
going to be the alcoholic.
Me too. Me too.
What? Yeah.
Me too. That's what's so interesting. People are like, well, I'm not one of those people who was like smoking pot at 10.
Mhm.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I smoked pot for the first time at 22 years old. I did meth at 24, and then it was fucking on, and it was a nightmare
Mm.
for 17 years.
See, it's crazy because I loved adrenaline and I loved being up
Because
and
you're a risk
going
taker, because
fast.
that's addiction. That's the alcoholism, risk
Yeah.
taking. That's that
And
personality.
I never did any coke or meth or wanted to try any meth or
Oh, good.
anything like
That's
that
interesting.
because it scared the crap out of me.
Well, because
Because
you probably knew you were going to like it too much.
I was like, I think I might like that, and I
Yeah.
don't want to take that chance.
Yep.
So
Well, you
I
were
had a
smart.
healthy fear in that. And
You
yeah.
probably would have liked it, and it is gnarly. It was a really, really, it's quite, addiction's gnarly, and it's just like,
Well, I
it's a,
feel like it stole my baby brother. He wasn't, I remember the last time I saw him
um,
before he went to prison. Texas does not screw around, man.
yeah,
They're
right.
like, they
Texas
don't
is
screw
gnarly.
around.
Yeah.
And I remember just seeing him and kind of like, where's my baby brother? Now, this is before I became an alcoholic. Um, and I remember thinking, what happened to my sweet baby brother?
Mm,
He was like, he was a comedian, had the biggest, beautiful heart. And I was like,
mm,
he's gone. That he's gone. Where is he? And so I need to write him a letter. That just reminds me. But it's just crazy what addiction does and how it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter what kind of family you came from. It doesn't matter what race you are, what gender you are. It doesn't matter.
mm-mm.
It can get to anybody. And so that's why I'm so grateful that you're speaking
Yeah, and I
out.
think that what really bothers me about the stigma is not just because it doesn't discriminate, but because people can't see it. You can't see it on a brain, but you can see it on a brain scan. It's certain brain scans, like, but because it's not, you know, like you can't see it on an X-ray. People think it's a thing of morality or willpower, and I'm here to tell you that it's not. I mean, there is scientific proof that once you are in the depths of your addiction, your prefrontal cortex completely is shut down, and
I
your
had never
whole,
experienced anything like it.
no, it's like where you're like, I don't want to do this, and you're doing it anyway, where you have like no control over your own fucking body. Like, it is like being possessed. That's all I can describe it as, where you're just like, I don't want to do this, and you're watching yourself from outside do it because it's hijacked your brain.
Hmm.
And basically your brain is like, this is survival. It's really weird. We had a guy on the podcast called Daniel Lieberman, and he wrote The Molecule of More, which is all about dopamine. You should read the book. It's fascinating. You should have him on. He's amazing. And uh,
The
he talks about
molecule of
sex
more.
addiction, the molecule of more. And he talks about dopamine. And he talks about sex addiction and love addiction and gaming addiction and social media addiction and drugs and alcohol, and how, like, in the beginning, when you're like really into someone, why that dies out like 2 years in, because the dopamine and all the like ooh wears off, and then it becomes sort of like companionate love. And so many people don't, they go, oh, I fell out of love with them, it's over. It's like, no, it that's a state of being high
Hmm.
off your brain chemicals, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's really fascinating. And I just think that we need to just talk about it. And I just, shame never helped me get sober, ever. It didn't change my behavior. And what I have found is that the more I speak my truth, no matter how ugly it is, the more people identify. And they're just like, oh my God, thank you for saying that. I feel so much less alone. And that to me is like, that's my fucking job here, is to be the truth teller, and say the thing that everyone's thinking that no one dare say. You know what I mean? And it's like, and it make people feel less alone and give people hope. Like I was a drug addict and an alcoholic, you know, and a cutter. And I mean, really, really, it was bad for years. I got sober, like I have 8 years, I'm 51, you know, uh, at 42, 43. And I started my journey at 24, 25 was the first time I was in rehab.
Wow.
And it would, you know, and I think that what you talk about, like, I love that it's called Grit and Grace, because, you know, I called one of my therapists from rehab because didn't look like I was the person who was going to make it. I had a bad attitude. I was older. I was having a complete nervous breakdown.
I'm just
Yeah.
laughing right now
No, oh
because
yeah.
I had people play some bets on me that I wasn't gonna
Yeah,
make
they were
it.
like, that bitch is gonna die. Like she's an asshole and she's been relapsing for 20 years. Like she is not gonna make it. And I called her and I just said, I wanted to tell you thank you. And sorry I was such a dick, you know, like that I just got 8 years. And she just was like, oh my God, you know, you just don't know who's gonna make it. And like, I think that what you're talking about, for me, I think it's about fucking resilience. That's it. It's like, you just don't let anything stop you. You just keep getting back up and you go, no, no. And you dust yourself off and you start again. And you don't let what anyone think about you stop you. And you fucking, you know, who cares what people in AA think? Like, they're like, oh, she's just relapsed. Fuck you. I don't want to be queen of the fucking Lodies. I don't give a shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm here to save my life. Like, you know, I just kept literally, you know, when everything got pulled out from under me, I was just like, it was sink or swim. And I just was like, okay, bitch, let's see what you got. And what it's
And
created
that's
is,
powerful. I
yeah,
think
it's
resilient
resilience.
people know when
Yeah.
it's time to sink or swim, and you're like, okay, I'm swimming.
You got to find that within yourself. And where you know, and it was like, you know, there's a line in the book, which I just love, which like, you know, I said to my father when I had 3 years sober, for the whatever time, you know what I mean? My poor parents are just like, oh God, you know, did she got it? She got it. She's sober. She's sober a couple of years. Okay, cool, cool. Oh no, she just ate it again, you know. And it kept getting worse and worse. And I said, are you ashamed of me? Are you, when you talk to your friends, are you embarrassed? You've had a kid that's been in the psych ward and rehabs and tried to stab their ex, and like, are you embarrassed? And he said to me, my friends wish they had a kid as unbreakable as you.
I'm crying.
But that's what I want everyone to know. We're all unbreakable. You're unbreakable. I'm unbreakable. We're fucking resilient, man. You know?
Yeah,
We think we're broken. That's the whole thing. Our head is like, you're so broken. You're so fucked up. We are fucking resilient. Look what you've done. Look what you've done.
well, if there's
defied the odds.
anybody listening who's like, oh, but it's too late for me, I'm too
No.
old, or I'm just not as
Bullshit.
resilient, or on that, let me tell you,
Yeah.
I didn't start, I mean, gosh, I'm going to be 49 next month, and my sobriety birthday is 5 years next month as well. I got sober like 3 days before.
But it's not a competition. Who gives a shit?
But it's not, and it's not too late.
Never.
And we
That's the opening of my book. For anyone, this is for anyone who thinks it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought it was too late. I didn't believe in myself. I'd relapsed for so long. I was like, I'm going to die an addict. I'm going to die this way. And then, you know, I just found something in myself and I went, you know, fucking move, bitch. Let's do this, you know? And I just didn't stop. And I just kept clawing through and clawing through and clawing through. And I didn't do it perfectly. And you can cry and be resilient. I'm the biggest crybaby ever.
Oh, I did not cry for years. And then when I got sober, it was like the floodgates.
Your feelings found you. Your feelings
Yes,
found you.
like
Yeah.
all the feelings that I ran away from
Right, of
earlier.
course.
And then all the feelings that I was like, oh, these feelings are too big. The shame's too big. It was just all too much. Let me stuff it down. It was like all the feelings I ran from and then tried to numb out and stuff down. They
Oh, yeah.
all, and the thing is is really you have to feel those feels in
Yeah.
order to heal, and it's not easy.
No, it's not.
And I used to have this friend when I was
Very
growing up.
unpleasant. It's very unpleasant. But that's the
Oh,
whole thing. We think our feelings are going to kill us. They're not going to kill you. They don't feel great. We don't like not feeling great. We like feeling good,
mhm.
and it's like, but you what you realize is that your feelings won't kill you and that they will pass. The
This
good
too
passes,
shall
and that's,
pass.
yeah, but that's the whole thing, is that everything passes. Good stuff passes, bad stuff passes, it all passes.
Mhm.
Everything is transient. That, which is so hard. I don't like that because I feel unstable inside, so I want stability. I don't like the ambiguity of like what's going to happen. That's not exciting to me. That's like terrifying. You know what I mean? Like I want to know.
Mhm.
I'll end a relationship just so I know. You know what I mean? I want to know. I don't want to, like, I don't like, oh, maybe, like, I don't like that, but tolerating ambiguity, that's life, man. We got to live that way. How do you find the solidity inside of yourself? How do you create that solidity and that sort of centeredness within yourself? Because life is going to go like this, even in sobriety. Everyone's like, sobriety, it's like rainbows and sparkles. It's like, that's not been my experience. My
Now,
mom got
I was on a
dementia.
pink cloud for a little while,
Oh, I never
and
had a pink nothing.
you didn't. I was on a pink cloud for a little while, and I think I was just happy to be alive and happy to have found some meetings with women. And I remember this one girl in a meeting one time said, "Ah, you're so cute. You have your little pink cloud, don't you?"
Ooh,
And I was
ooh,
like,
ooh,
"Thanks."
ooh. Fuck you.
Thanks.
Fuck
Thanks. Yep, I
you.
like this pink cloud. Do
Yeah,
you? I was like,
yeah. When that
whatever.
ends,
I
though,
didn't
yeah.
even know what that meant. I didn't know what pink cloud
Hmm.
meant. I had no idea. And you know what? I think sometimes ignorance is bliss. I did not know like
Good.
that there
That's
were
great.
clicky groups,
Yeah,
or
that's kind of catty and shitty to
I
say.
was in there for one reason, and that
Yeah,
was to save my life, to keep my
exactly.
sobriety and save my life. And I didn't care about anything else. I didn't
Right.
care
Good. That's the way it
about
should be.
I didn't care. I didn't. And I remember, anyway, there's a lot. I was just like, I am here for one reason only. And
Yeah.
it's been hard during the pandemic. Thank God we have
Very, very
meetings
hard.
online.
It's
Um,
not the same,
but
though.
it's
It's just
not the
not the
same.
same. It's just not the same. I
It's
mean,
not
I
like you
don't know what to
said, you
say.
get that dopamine when you're in a room.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
when
I
you're in a
mean,
room full of people that you love
well,
and that
yeah, I
you're,
mean, hugging and connecting and holding hands and like the whole. I mean, like, I mean, it's a joke, but I mean, it's not even a joke. I said this really happened. I was going to the chiropractor, and she said, "You have to stop coming so often." And I said, "But I'm lonely. I need to be touched, and I'm looking for answers." And she's like, "You really need to stop coming to the chiropractor really."
oh.
And it was like, I mean,
Well,
the
how often were you going?
I don't know. I didn't think I was going out often. She was like, "You were here 4 days ago. Like, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like, I mean,
That's hilarious
I know.
though.
It's like, it's so embarrassing.
But
It's like,
no, it's not. I mean, it
I mean, I
makes
just,
sense.
well, yeah, I live by myself. It's like me and my cat. I mean, like, it's like, so I feel like isolation is very bad for us.
Yeah,
And,
and
suicide has gone up 200%. Relapses have gone up. I mean, everyone I know, I've really struggled with depression during this a lot. It's not been fun at all.
mhm.
And you think you're like, oh, I'll get, and then there's all this like pressure to, like, I'm gonna write a book and get a fucking perfect body during the pandemic. You know what I mean? Like, I get these goals or whatever, and it's like, how about you just get through and not blow your brains out? That would be great, and not get sick. Like, that's my goal.
Mhm.
It's that
Yeah.
simple. But I mean, I guess what I was saying was, like, I think that people have this idea that you get sober and like life's perfect and it's easy. And it's like, that's just when the work starts. Like,
Mhm.
when my mom got dementia, my dad got cancer, I got my heart broken. Like, life continues, honey. Like, you've got better tools now, but you also got to feel all your feelings.
Yeah, like
All your feelings.
you don't have any vices. You can't other people might like have a hard day and they're like, ah, I just want to check out,
Right.
gonna
Right.
and in fact, I was actually just recently invited to speak at this group and it was called like Confidence and Cocktails. And they're like,
Oh
okay, we're gonna go
God.
around the room. And Amberly, what are you drinking? And I'm like, well,
Oh
I'm
no.
sober, so I'm drinking some water. But before, I never would have been able to say that. I would have been terrified and so ashamed to say, well, because they were going around, they were all saying, I'm drinking gin and tonic, I'm drinking a margarita, I'm drinking wine. And I'm like, I'm drinking water. And I would have been ashamed of that because it took me, gosh, probably a good year before I even
Mm,
told anybody that I was sober. I mean, of course, people, my closest friends and family, they're like, oh, we see the change. I mean, people
right.
would see me and go, oh, what are you doing? You look great. Like,
Right.
new diet? I'm like,
Your skin's so glowy.
they're like, wow, did you lose weight? And I'm like, no, I'm just not puffy
Work
from,
done. I don't know.
but it's not easy. It is where you have to feel all the feelings, but we can get through some of the
Yes.
hardest days. And I am so grateful. Like every morning I actually write to my sponsor and tell her what I'm grateful for. And this morning, one of the things that I told her that I was grateful for was that I got to go work out at 5:30 this morning before I started work, and that I'm able to do that
Cool.
because I would have been hungover before. I
Right.
mean, I'm just grateful that I can get control of my health. Even though I don't have perfect health, I can better manage my chronic nerve disease and be healthier by staying sober. So yes, there are some ways there are days that are harder, but in a lot of ways, I mean, it's so much easier and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I always
No,
say the
ever.
number one thing I'm grateful for is my sobriety because without it, I wouldn't have
Oh,
anything else.
completely. I completely, but I'm just saying, I mean, it's become so trendy and people think it's easy. And I think in the beginning, the first year is very
Is it
difficult for
trendy
most
now?
people. Oh God, yeah.
Is
Oh, it's
it?
so trendy. Oh God, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Thanks
So,
to you. Maybe they read your book and they're
no, it's
like,
not me. No, my book,
I'm
no, believe me, that's not me. It's like the wine moms. It's not me. People aren't like, I identify with this Jewish junkie. Like, no, it's like this knife wielding bitch who fucking that's not, people are like, whoa. They read my book and they're like, oh, I thought I was bad. Like, well, if this bitch can get sober, okay, maybe.
see, I read your book and I'm like, I relate to her.
Well,
Like,
but I mean, underneath it all is the feelings, and the feelings are the same. The feelings of insecurity, the feelings of wanting love, the feelings of being lonely, the feelings of all of it. What am I doing with my life? The feelings of, being out of control, the feelings of all fear, all of it, every sadness, grief. We all have those. So
mhm.
it's like, I mean, but for
So
me,
how are you getting through the sadness? What helps you with that?
sadness about what specifically?
Well, you said just through this pandemic, how you've had some days where you're like, God, this depression is really like
Yeah, well,
something
I
else.
mean, I also have a mood disorder, an epilepsy, so that's not great. But I mean, um,
Yeah. So
I,
first your sadness, and then I know your epilepsy is also can sometimes be brought on to when you get stressed. So I
yeah, I
also
mean,
next want to
I
talk
have
about
that pretty
that.
well under control with medications now. Thank God, finally, after cracking my head open and breaking teeth and losing my license twice and all kinds of fun stuff. Um, I have days where I just am like, today's a bed day. Fuck it. I can't. You know what I mean? And I just let myself. I don't beat myself up about it. And there are other days where I'm like, let's move, bitch. Like get in the shower, like get out of those sweatpants, call Doug, let's do some lunges, get out and get in some fresh air, call somebody. How you doing? you
Hmm.
know just moving, writing, whatever. I mean, I'm someone who really struggles with routine and discipline, and I need it. And my father said, discipline creates stability, stability doesn't create discipline. And I was like, I don't know what does that even mean. And he means that like a disciplined routine life will give you that feeling of stability inside that you're looking for versus you waiting to feel like you want to write the fucking book, because you're never going to fucking feel like that, or work out, or whatever it's going to be, you know? And so
Oh, I
action
need
changes your
discipline.
feelings.
I really have to have the discipline
Mm-hmm.
or I am all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like an emotional
Right.
roller coaster.
Yeah.
I think discipline gives us freedom.
It does. It totally does. But it's not always easy. And so sometimes I have to like literally bookend it, like promise someone I'm going to do it and then text them and say I did it. Do you know what I mean? I've got to be held accountable. You know, people go,
Mhm.
well, aren't you accountable to yourself? It's like, oh, girl, I've broken promises to myself so many times. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I could just do that for myself. I wish I had that kind of self-care, and I don't. Sometimes I'm really on it. Like, that's the addiction part. Like, sometimes I'm like, I'm working out every day and I'm meditating every day and I'm writing every day and I'm like really on it. And there's other days where I'm just like, you know, and that's the truth. I mean, I don't do it perfectly, but thankfully I can start over. I can go, okay, you're really slacking. Let's get back on the horse.
And thank God we don't have to do it perfectly.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, thank
But I
goodness
don't like that
because
about Instagram, where everyone puts the perfection and makes it look like it's easy, because being sober is not easy. And so if you're depressed when you're in early sobriety during a goddamn pandemic, like, nothing is wrong with you. It's hard. This is depressing. People are dying. It is terrifying. It's isolating. People are lonely. Like, it's hard. You know what I mean? I don't like the idea that it's like some fucking cure-all, and you still might have to deal with your trauma or PTSD or your childhood stuff or your chemical imbalance. You know what I
more
mean?
than likely you will have to deal with it because
Yeah,
you've been covering up all that
of
stuff with
course.
all
So it's
these
like,
other
yeah,
things you've been doing to not have to deal with those
yeah,
things.
it's just the beginning. It really is just the beginning of doing the work, you
Mhm.
know? I mean, all I did was run from the work my whole until, you know, for me, the wake up calls were getting louder and louder and louder. And I was like, and then fucking just, my life just imploded. I mean, left penniless in a psych ward. And my parents were just kind of like, you know, my ex husband was like, done. And
How long were you married?
3.5 years.
3.5 years.
And my parents were just like, my father was just like, God, man, you've been draining me financially and emotionally for years, man. Like, you at the bottom of the well. Like, when does this end?
Well, I think sometimes, you know, we need that tough love.
Oh, totally. Are you kidding? Absolutely. I mean, I was so manipulative, and it kept me going for a really long time. And I played the broken card and the sick card and the crazy card and the junkie card. And I just kept manipulating my parent. Well, if you don't do that, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to get loaded. If you don't do that, da, da. And then my dad went to one goddamn Al-Anon meeting. One. That's all it took. And I called him up and I tried to manipulate him. And he goes, you know what, Amy? You used to be able to ruin my life. And now you can't even ruin my lunch, honey. And I was
Wow.
like, and I knew the gig was up. I was like, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, he'd gotten smart to my game. And it was like, but it was also me hitting a bottom and wanting to change. Like, when I was sweeping the streets, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm
Mhm.
tired of relapsing. I'm tired of like feeling like life is after me and I'm caught in some weird trap I can't get out of. And in recovery, there's freedom. And then when you get to see that you're the person that is creating those cycles, then then there's freedom. You're like, if I stop doing all this stuff stops happening to me. Hey, what a coincidence. It's you.
Mhm.
Wherever you go, there you are, bitch. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It's so true, right? It's like if the same thing keeps happening,
Right.
even if you like, I remember I was like, gosh, I keep, you know, got married to this guy, then I thought I picked somebody different, then I thought I
Oh,
picked somebody
right.
different, and they were all like the same
Yeah.
unemotionally available person. And I thought, it's me. I'm picking the wrong person.
Yeah.
What do I need to fix in me?
Totally.
And I went to a shrink after I had my second daughter, and I had like really bad postpartum depression. And thank goodness my husband was like, you need to go get help because or else like I can't
Ooh,
deal with you.
right.
You're a crazy person. Like you need to go to a shrink right now. And so I went and I was talking to her, and two things she said to me were, well, one thing she said to me was really good. She said, "You teach people how to treat you," which was like,
Oh, so true,
oh,
right? I know,
it's
with your
so
boundaries.
true.
Oh, I know. Ooh, that one
And
hurts, doesn't it?
yes, it did. It was
Ooh,
like, ooh, it stopped me. I was like,
I know.
oh, shut me right up. But then she said, I told her, I said, well, I know I'll just feel better. And this is what makes me think of our what we said earlier about the dopamine. I
Mm.
said, I know I'll just feel better if I can move my body, if I can work out. I said, and I had this cesarean and I have not been able to move and I'm just depressed and I'm going crazy. I need to be able to move to feel good. And she said, well, you need to be on antidepressants. If you depend on exercise to feel better, you need to be on antidepressants. So I left there with a prescription for antidepressants and I cried all the way home. And I told my husband, you were right. She said, I'm crazy and I'm supposed to take this medication. He goes, well, no, you don't have to take the medication if you don't want to take it. Just wait till you can work out and see if that helps. And so, sure enough, I waited. I had this thing about I didn't want to have to take any
Hey,
antidepressants.
no problem.
But I
You
mean,
know.
later on in life, after my motorcycle accident, I tried three different kinds of antidepressants. But at this time, I skipped
Right, you
them.
were like, I don't want to. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't want to. Maybe
I know.
I
We're
need
like, yeah.
those.
Right. Wait a second. What are you offering? Like, no, I don't. I don't do. I know. It's like It's so weird. My body's so weird. Like, I used to do meth. Right. Meth is cut with Drano and gun bluing. No problem. They put me on doxycycline. I went bananas. Right. So
Wow.
street drugs. My body's like, yeah, totally. Other drugs. My body's like, no.
Well, do you think, like, I know for me with the 34 surgeries, and at one
Oh
time
my
I was on
God, girl.
11 different prescription medications at one time,
Oh
just
my
in order to
God. I
keep my
can't.
leg from falling off of my
Oh,
body. And I started developing a lot of allergies to medications. So I
oh,
think that's one of
interesting.
the reasons I couldn't take, I mean, I would throw up any kind of antidepressant I tried to take. I became like I'm allergic to different pain medications, and I think it's
Wow.
probably because I had so many of them for a couple of years with
Yeah.
so many surgeries and everything. So yeah, I have to be really careful with even antibiotics too. And I
Oh
don't
God,
know if
antibiotics
it's,
totally fucked me up. I mean, they put me on one and I was like manic. And I'm not even bipolar, like for 10 days. I was having a great time. I was like, woo! I was so fucking hyper and I'm like buying necklaces. I'm like, that's when I contacted my ex and I was like, you got something to say to me? It was like, surprise, motherfucker, after like 4 years of being blocked. And he was like, oh my God. And my friends are like, are you drinking too much coffee? Like, what's going on? And then after that, it didn't work. It was for an ear infection. They put me on a different one, and all it did was give me diarrhea and cry. I was like, oh, this is awesome. I would rather the other one. Yeah, I was just
yeah,
like,
my, yeah.
I was like, I'm just literally like, how, I'd gone from like, woo, to like, I'm on the toilet. And everyone's just like, oh my God, girl, like, get it together. Hey, I'm on Prozac, and I'm on a medication for my epilepsy, and I'm on progesterone now because I'm going through perimenopause, which is such a fucking blast. Let me tell
Oh,
you.
I haven't got there
Oh,
yet.
it's so fun.
Ugh.
Oh, it's really fun. You thought you were crazy before? Well, wait till you sweat at night and like cry and like rage on people. Yeah. I was like,
Oh, my poor
holy fuck.
husband.
Yeah, it was gnarly. I was like, oh my God.
See, I don't know when to expect it because both my grandmother and my mom, had hysterectomies
My
very
mom
young.
too. My mom too. So I had no idea either.
Yeah. So I'm
You
I'm
might be,
I'll be calling you up, girl. I'll be
I'll,
like,
I'll, I'll, I'll walk you through it. I'll walk you through it.
swear to
You
God, I'll be
know,
like, Amy.
I know. I was like, the store is closing.
Oh,
This is not fun at all, man. It fucks with your head a little bit too, You're kind of like, but I mean, I never had babies, but they found that, for some people, exercise is just as effective as, antidepressants. So it's like, and antidepressants don't work for everybody. I have to do it all. I have to take antidepressants and I have to work out and I have to meditate. Even my dad said to me today, he goes, I can tell you're not meditating. And I was like, I do not like your attitude, sir. I don't like
but
that.
but it is. I mean, I have to do I have a morning ritual and I
Right.
have a nightly ritual. And sometimes I need to restart in the middle of my day. So, and I need, great friends and support along the way. I definitely could
Oh
not do
yeah,
it
for
alone.
sure that. Oh God, that you can tell the truth to and just be like, I'm not okay. Like,
Yeah.
I need help. Like, can you listen?
Yeah.
Like, help me. I don't know what's going on. And then just people who just don't judge you and just love you.
Well, you can call me anytime, girl. You can.
Oh, honey.
I'm serious, by the way. Y'all, I want you to read her book because we just touched on like a tiny portion of it. Um, I usually like to read paperbacks or hardbacks because I'm a big highlighter and page folder over. But I really, because I've met you and I talked to you, I wanted to hear your voice. I wanted to hear you read it. So I love the Audible version. Tell people the best way to get your book and to find you.
Best way to get the book, I would guess, really is Amazon. I mean, I know whatever your feelings about Jeff Bezos and Amazon, people are like, like it's
Uh-huh.
been, it was released originally in 2017, and I'm working on book 2 now, which is people are very happy about. But yeah, that's where the Kindle is. That's where the Audible is. That's where there's paperbacks and hardcovers there. You can find them also Barnes and Noble. I'm on Instagram at Amy Dresner. I'm on Twitter at Amy Dresner. I'm on Facebook at Amy Dresner. I have a podcast called Rehab Confidential with someone even more obnoxious than me, if you can believe it, named Joe Schrank. That's on Apple and Spotify. And I mean, he says, people were like, if you're the pullback police, that's scary. I'm like, I know. I know. She makes me look great. I'm like, okay. He says stuff and I'm like,
Really? Well, just keeping it
they're
real.
like, yeah, people are like, you're really raw. I'm like, well, listen to my podcast where I'm the one who's like, oh my God,
Well,
don't
I
say
just
that.
subscribed to your podcast today and it's like on my list to binge.
Oh,
Um,
you'll dig it. You'll dig it. It's
I
pretty
know.
interesting.
It's one of those that I'm so excited to listen
Yeah,
to
it's a
because
lot
I
of
know
science
I'll
and
relate to a
politics
lot
and
of it.
celebrities and porn stars and authors and journalists. And I mean, it's really, we've got sort of everybody. It's sort of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've got a website called called amydresner.com. I'm sorry. And I've got Rehab Confidential as a Facebook page, and we have a website, and we're everywhere.
Well, if you're listening to this or you and you're out and about, don't worry, you can find all the links in the show notes here. But definitely check her out. And I swear your Instagram posts always keep me entertained. I love, especially your one today. So y'all go check her out on Instagram as well.
I know. I was like, I don't care if that looks good. That's real. I don't care about if it looks good or not. I don't care.
But that's one of the reasons I love you so much is because you keep it real, and I like that.
In a time right now where everyone's so fucking fake and everyone feels so alone, just speak your truth, man. You know what I mean? If you're not hurting someone, like just your secrets are not that unique. I mean, they really aren't. That was, people are like, I read your book and like, I am you. I'm like, bitch, we are all the same. That's the thing. We are all really the same,
but
struggling
you
with the same thing.
you are shining light on that shame and you have already shown so much light on it
Oh,
and
you're so
you're
sweet.
inspiring so many others to step out of the shame that they've been carrying with them and you're changing lives and I'm sure
Thank
there are
you.
so many people that have reached out to you already but I'm sure there are so many people that have never reached out to you that you have touched their life in such a positive way and you've changed their life or saved their life by stepping forward and have the
I've gotten a lot of
courage.
messages, and I have to say, I still cry. I still cry because I don't think there's anything more important than helping other people. That's what it's
Mhm,
about. Changing lives. That's it. If you don't make
mhm.
a difference, what the fuck are you doing on the planet? There's you would know this because you're Southern, but there's this Hebrew saying that us Jews say called Tikkun Olam, and it's heal the world. And that's what I think that you're doing too. So
Thank you. Well, doing it together, girl. And I cannot wait to hear more about your TV series. That's gonna
oh, I know we got meetings. Oh,
that's exciting. And I'm just so, I mean, like I said, you are just so inspiring. Your heart's beautiful. I love everything about you and how down to earth and real you are. So again, thank you for being here.
Oh my
And
God, thank you
again,
for having me.
y'all check out her book. It's amazing. And check her out on social media. I swear she'll have you laughing. She'll have you crying. She'll definitely have you entertained. So anyway, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Amberly.